What's up, guys? Mason the Rock Henderson here. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize because I'm exhausted. So this review may not be the best one ever. Shocking to hear. But yeah, long day working. I had to watch this game while at work, and then on top of that, I went to the Atlanta United game. That pissed me off, and I kind of losing my voice because of it. So we're going to talk about today's game because this was obviously the better of the two games. If you have no idea what happened to the Atlanta United game, good for you. But yeah, this was a good game. This was enjoyable. This was fun. This was well played. Honestly, probably one of the better games from Chelsea under Tuchel. And yeah, it's just a long running line of I never know what to expect. Some games I'm getting pissed at Tuchel and his decision making and the players he's putting out, and then some games it all works out okay, and his plan, his strategy all works out fine. And honestly, I mean, obviously, prefer to get the win, especially away. But I mean, still a 1-1 draw away at Real Madrid is a great result, and especially, looking at what Real did against Liverpool at the Bernabeu. I mean, it's really a fantastic result. I'm pretty sure it's the Bernabeu. I need to check that. Just because I'm so tired, I want to make sure I didn't just completely screw up the stadium. Because if I did, that would be embarrassing. It is the Bernabeu. Okay. I'm not that tired. Yet. But yeah, so first of all, talk about the lineup. Went with the same lineup that he did against... Who do we play? West Ham. It really has been a long day. Again, just be prepared. It's going to be bad. But yeah, same lineup, which kind of makes sense, but also makes me question the West Ham lineup even more. Because if you're not resting players for this game, then why did you go with that lineup against West Ham? I mean, obviously it worked out fine, but it's a very defensive lineup, and that's why it makes sense for today. Having a more defensive lineup against Real Madrid, it makes sense. Because they are going to keep a lot more possession than we're used to seeing against teams. So we need to make sure we're set up to defend well. And when we do defend well, it lets us have more possession, which then allows us to get forward more. And yeah, I thought, everybody that he picked, I thought worked out well. And I honestly was looking at it thinking, I don't mind this lineup at all. The only change I probably would have done, and this is just because it's me and I have a different mindset, I probably would have gone with Abraham over Werner. And it's only because I feel like Abraham has the pace that we're looking for, but also is a little bit more physically capable of handling some of the challenges. And because we're up against a different style of play, I feel like having a striker that's willing to get a little bit more rough than Werner is probably would have helped us. Like, Werner isn't afraid to put in a challenge, but he's not really the one that's going to stand up under, a hard challenge or under hard pressure. I feel like Abraham does it a little bit better. Giroud, I don't think would have worked today because he doesn't really have the pace to deal with the Madrid back line. So, but I mean, I understand why Werner's in, and it's not like he played poorly. So, not like I hate the decision from Tuchel, but it would have been nice to see just a little bit more roughness from our front three, because Mount can put in a decent challenge, but he's not super rough. Pulisic is not really the rough type, and Werner's not either. So it felt like we could have put a little bit more, made it a little bit more difficult for their defense. But anyways, that's really the only complaint not really complaint, but just issue I had. Even the subs, a little weird to see three subs all at once, but I mean, yeah, you bring on Ziyech for just basically like for Pulisic. Havertz comes on and he's just, at that point, I don't mind going with more of a false nine. He does keep possession a little bit better than Werner does. And then James for Spilicueta, he's a solid defender as well on the right side, but maybe provides a little bit more down the wings, just in case you can hit him on the counter, because they're going to be pushing for a second. So, but all in all, I thought it was a good setup from Tuchel and decent subs. Not great, but honestly, saying that the subs were decent is an upgrade because most of the time I hate his subs. So, but individuals, first we'll start with Mendy. Obviously, the goal, hard to really blame him for. I mean, first of all, it's a great shot, and his line of sight was blocked, so it's very difficult to react to something coming at you that fast when you don't see it at first. So it's not like I expected. I would expect only the top world class keepers to maybe make that save, and even then, it's still pretty unlikely. So I don't really blame him for that one, but overall, he was okay. It wasn't really called on a whole lot. Like, honestly, Real didn't challenge us as much as they probably would have wanted to. Um, but for the few saves he had to make in the moments where he had to be calm and collected, gathering out of the air or anything like that, I thought he did his job well. Distribution obviously is still the weak point for him, but it was no real issues from him tonight, which is a step up. Um, Going to the back three, go with Christensen, Silva, and Rudiger again. And all three of them, again, just solid. Silva, probably the standout for me, just because he shows time and time again what having an intelligent defender feels like in a back three. Um, it's nice. It's nice to have somebody back there who knows what he's doing, who reads the play well, who can just calmly intercept passes and put himself in a position where the striker's not going to cause any issues. And it's a great feeling to have because it's rare to have that type of mindset back there. Most of your top world class defenders nowadays are just very athletic. You think about like your Van Dykes or honestly Rudiger is up there. You think about like Laporte. You think about like Diaz. They're most of the time these very aggressive, fast defenders. But the problem with that is that most of the time they use their physical nature and their physical ability to make up for the fact that sometimes they make dumb decisions. Rudiger oftentimes will go into a challenge they probably shouldn't be going into, but he has the ability to make up the pace and make up the gap that he left. Silva is just he reads the game so well that he's not necessarily the fastest, he's not necessarily the strongest or the tallest, but he puts himself in a good position and he can win the ball pretty much most of the time. So it's just nice to have that kind of calm, collected defender back there. So he had a fantastic game in my opinion. Christensen was solid. Didn't do anything, didn't make any mistakes defensively. That just very very solid from him, and that's something that he's had trouble before. Getting caught out of position, stepping up when he should be. Dropping with his man. So overall, it was good from him, and distribution wise, I thought he looked good. Rudiger also pretty much like Christensen, just very solid. Didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Obviously, his distribution is what set up our goal, so it was good to see him. Just a little bit more calm tonight. He was kind of cooling down that side of him that's running into challenges and bowling over people when he has no business to be. So yeah, all three very solid on the night. Spilicueta and Chilwell. Spilicueta did his job well enough. He was more out there to be kind of the defensive-minded right wing back. Making sure to track back, making sure not to let their wing get in behind him, and it's something he does well. He's normally not beat in one-on-one situations. So different from the West Ham game because West Ham sits deep and then tries to counter, and so he's pulled further up the field, which means now he's got ground to make up behind him. Tonight, he didn't really get up as much. He still did occasionally, but it felt like he was instructed, hey, stay back a bit more. We don't want you getting too far up. We don't want you to get dragged out of your position and then get beaten behind. And that's what he did, and I thought he did it very well. Chilwell, kind of similar. So I honestly don't remember him much because of that, which is not that big of a deal, in my opinion. The problem is because most of the time we rely on our wingbacks to be more attack-minded and really get up and help in the attack. Most of the time, whenever they have a quiet game, it's frustrating. But I think because of the challenge of the opposition, we needed them to be much more defensively focused today. And I feel like they did that part of their job well. So it's kind of hard to judge them based on the fact that they didn't really help us out much in the attack. I mean, Chilwell did get up and had his moments in the box, and there were moments where it felt like he probably should have put in a slightly better cross. But I think the defensive side of the job was the most important thing for him tonight, and I thought he did that very well. So it was good to see. Jorginho and Conte in the midfield. Jorginho had another solid game, and It seems more and more like he's popping up with those solid games, so maybe Tuchel's finally cracked the code, but then again, I thought that before, and then suddenly West Brom happened. So I feel like he just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about Jorginho. Like, it's actually kind of funny. I was seeing on Facebook today and yesterday and for the past few days, really, because of course, you know, Chelsea are in the semifinals, and there's that 2012 run where we just, everything was crazy. We sacked the coach. We managed to make it, won in 2012. And they've been talking a lot about Mikel's performance against Bayern in the finals. And Mikel is a player I never really rated that highly. You know, he was solid enough, but especially near the end, it felt like he was getting used way too much, and just not really an effective player. But they've been talking a lot about his performance against Bayern, which was really good. And I feel like I have the same image of Jorginho. Like, for the most part, I don't rate him very highly. I feel like he's a very average player. He doesn't help us that much, but he'll turn in these good performances from time to time, and that gets everybody talking about him like he's one of the best. He's so underrated. And I don't know, it's weird how back and forth he can be sometimes. How sometimes he is the one running the midfield, he is the one controlling the tempo of the game with his passing, and then sometimes he's the one slowing down our attack. Sometimes he's the one just leaving such a gap in the defense because he can't work back defensively. I don't know. It's weird. I can't explain it. I don't know why. But today he was good. So, yay. And then, who knows? In the weekend, he could be awful. You just never know. You never know what to expect. But yeah, solid performance from him. Conte, obviously, everybody's been talking about his man of the match performance, how all over the pitch he was, how he was just constantly being involved. What's funny is, as I'm watching the game, I'm just thinking to myself, God, I wish Conte were dropped a bit deeper. Because honestly, what he does well is from when he's playing deeper. And today he was playing slightly more advanced, but of course he was doing both sides because it's Conte and he can run all over the field if he wants to. But yeah, he did give ball away a couple times, and there were moments where you can see, on the ball is not his best game. But then again, he also does have his moments where all of a sudden he pokes it past a defender and it looks like he's lost it, but then his speed makes up for it and he pokes it past another defender and suddenly he's into space and he's starting a counterattack for us. So he does pop up occasionally with those great runs that force the defense to have to drop back for the other team and force them to have to chase him. And that is draining to do. So, but what he does well is just his ability to be all over the place and just constantly be a threat. Anytime he's near you, you can't just hold on to the ball because he's going to be putting in a challenge on you. But yeah, obviously another great performance from him. Mount, so he technically was a part of the front three, but it was almost, there were times, I think mainly whenever we didn't have possession, that he dropped in to form more of a 5-3-2. And he was more on like the left side of the midfield next to Jorginho and Conte. So it was kind of a bit of a back and forth performance. He's not really the best when he's having to defend more often. But the moments where we were bossing possession, mainly in the first 25 of the first half, and then there was about 15, 20 minutes in the second half where we were kind of taking it to him again. Those are the moments where I feel like he shines the best. Whenever we have possession, he can be in the final third and being creative. Those are the moments that I feel like Mount truly shines. But yeah, whenever he's having to work back and defend more, like he'll do that side of things well, but he's not really as noticeable in those moments. He kind of, just quietly does his job well enough, but nothing spectacular. He's not the greatest defender, but he marks the man he needs to. He puts himself in a good position to defend. So it's like, it's a good player to have, and it's why so many people didn't understand why he kept getting picked and why so many coaches are like, no, we need him, because he quietly does whatever you need him to do. It's just on the attack is where most people want to notice him. So whenever he's not being noticed in the attack, people are like, oh, why do you even use him? He's not effective at all. So it's disappointing sometimes when people don't see that side of things. But yeah, solid performance from him. Pulisic, honestly, probably second best player, not just for the goal, but again, showing why he is, when he's at his best, he's so valuable to have in the team because he's just so quick on the turn. And the defense, they have to keep tabs on him. It's not, obviously with Hazard playing against us again, there's a lot of talks of those comparisons again. Is he the next Hazard? He's not quite the same. He's a different type of player. Hazard is very good at working in the little spaces, in and out of defenders. Pulisic is much more, you got to get it to him in space, and he's got to be that one-on-one with the defender moment, and turn and he's gone. And it's what he does effectively. He draws fouls a lot too because defenders have to put in a challenge or else he's going to get him behind him. So he's just constantly been getting better recently, and another great performance from him. So hopefully the best is still yet to come. But if this is at his best, I mean, it's still very good. So would definitely not be complaining. But mainly because he's so young, I feel like he still does have some room to improve. But yeah, good performance. Werner had the highs and lows again tonight. A lot of them, the moments I can remember, unfortunately, are the lows because there were several moments where it feels like that's got to be a goal. That's got to be a good pass. You got to get on the end of that pass there. It feels like his low moments are more noticeable than his high moments, which sucks for a striker because those low moments are what get blasted all over everything. And if in the modern day, unfortunately, you're going to be seeing and hearing a lot of it, because that's what makes the news. That's what the news wants to talk about. That's what social media wants to talk about, is all the let's laugh at them performances. So it just sucks, and I hate it for him because I feel like it's just one of those things that when you're in the Premier League, there's a lot of focus on you, and whenever you're not playing well and you have such a huge price tag, there's a lot of pressure on you too. And if you're not fulfilling that, you just get talked about more and more, and the pressure keeps growing, and it's hard. I would never ever want to be in their shoes. But today, all in all, I feel like it was a decent performance. Because his runs were good. He was drawing the defenders with him. There were a lot of moments where he was working hard to put pressure on the defense so they can't just easily keep possession. So I thought, he played decently enough. It's just those moments where you feel like those are the moments that are going to get picked out. Those are the moments that they're going to blast all over everything and be like, see, Werner's a flop. I hate those moments for him because I feel like it just drops his confidence even more. I don't even know if it can go lower at this point, if I'm being honest. So, but yeah, I mean, the hard work is obviously there. And I know Tuchel sees it, which is why he continues to pick him. But it's just, at some point, it's just got to be like, we got to figure out something to boost his confidence, to get him back firing again. I don't know what it's going to be. Like, I don't know if you just, put him with the development team for a little bit, let him start banging in goals at the U23 level, and then they'll get his confidence back, and they'll come back and be like, yeah, I remember how to do this now. But, I don't know. To be fair, he was playing the Bundesliga, so U23s, Bundesliga. And then finally the subs. I'll be honest, it was hard to watch once the subs came on because it was a little bit later in the day and I was working a lot, and then I was also driving for parts of the last bit of it, so there were some moments I missed near the end of the game. But from what I remember, don't remember much of James, to be honest, and I defensively or attacking, like I just don't remember if he did much. Ziyech, I actually did remember some good turns, some good passes. It felt like he was being pretty creative on the ball and honestly holding up possession pretty well under strong challenges, which he's been giving the ball away a lot recently and very cheaply too. So it was good to see him keep possession a lot more, from what little bit I saw. And then Havertz was, I saw a couple good moments, but for the most part, I don't really remember much from him either. So it felt like the subs are more just, fresh legs, get them on, provide a little bit more possession up top, but then at the same time, Real Madrid stepped up their game too, so we didn't keep as much possession near the end of the game. But like I said, I mean, a 1-1 draw is a good result against Real Madrid. We're taking it back to our place. And yeah, they're going to have to open up a bit more against us, which I feel like kind of benefits us. Because honestly, once the team opens up and they have to, push up a little bit more, it opens up that space for players like Werner and Pulisic to get in behind. And so it's going to be difficult for them to have to try to push us to get that away goal. And hopefully it'll allow us to kind of get a couple in early on so that way we don't even have to really worry about it. Because, yeah, I mean, the more that they push, the more it's going to open up the spaces for us in their defense. And, yeah, the better it'll be, hopefully. So we'll see what happens next week. Obviously, we got Fulham on the weekend, which I don't know. Because the thing is, it should be an easy game. But at the same time, you never know anymore. Honestly, aside from the Palace game where Palace, again, they just didn't show up to play, none of the games under Tuchel have been easy, which I feel like is a little concerning. Because, like, I don't know, it feels like against the top teams we're playing well and we're really taking it to them and we're winning some of these games or we're drawing some of these games and they're really good performances. But then we face teams that are lower than us and it feels like we can't get going under against those teams under Tuchel. And so it's like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to really know how to feel about Tuchel so far because yeah, we're playing well against these top teams, but then we're playing poorly against the lower teams. And if you can't play well against the lower teams and get points against the lower teams, that's kind of an issue because there's a lot of teams that are lower than us in talent. But it feels like we drop down to their level. We play poorly against them. And Tuchel's tactics only seem to work against the top teams. So, I don't know. But we need to get 3 points. I mean, we picked up a big 3 points against West Ham. Liverpool also dropped points. We set ourselves up well. Now we need to do it again. Keep winning. The other teams hopefully around us, I mean, kind of up and down form for pretty much everybody in and around the top four. So, yeah, a win this weekend puts ourselves in another good position and only 5 games left. 5 or 6. Can't remember right now. I mean, we got to get the job done, and like I said, we can't really rely on the Champions League right now because even if we can get past Real Madrid, I still doubt we're going to get past PSG. If Man City get past PSG, I'd be shocked. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. But anyways, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game? Let me know what you can talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.